Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryan Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasa Gocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Bhishta Siddhaye. So we were looking at the Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, okay, which itself we started discussing because we were discussing something called Anubandha Chatushtaya. Anubandha Chatushtaya means the four things which are connected to the Grantha or the book or the text. So the Anubandha Chatushtaya we saw a few weeks back, correct? Tatra Anubandho Nama Adhikari Vishaya Sambandha Prayojanani. So these four things are the ones we discussed. In this Adhikari only we were discussing a lot. Okay, who is an Adhikari? He is a knower. And then what kind of qualifications this knower should have. And this text actually also any new terms the author is introducing, he is also immediately giving the Lakshana or definition for that so that everything is clear. So we saw who is an Adhikari and what kind of qualifications means sadhanani. So the sadhana chatushtaya, this is what we call. And what are those? Nitya nitya vastu viveka, ihamutrartha phala bhoga viragaha, Samadhi Shatka Sampatti Mumukshutvam. These are the four qualifications for the Adhikari. Now, Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka is very important. What you really want in life. Whether you are satisfied with the limited results you are gaining from the worldly pursuits, or you have gained a certain insight that this is not I really want. What I want really is freedom from all limitations, and therefore what I want is the limitless. Limitless alone is Nitya. Everything other than the limitless is only Anitya, or even though worldly pursuits may satisfy you, it is all fleeting. Once you have accomplished something, it is no more great. Your sights are now shifting to something else, and it is a vicious cycle, correct? It is an unending cycle. You go from one to the other. It is what we call a life of becoming. You become one person, from there you want to become somebody else, and that is endless. That is the samsara. So this is something you have to actually think about yourself. This is what in the Upanishad also, Pariksha Lokan, Karma Chitan, like that in Mundaka Upanishad it is discussed. You have to analyze the world, you have to analyze all your pursuits and arrive at a certain conclusion that what I want is the Nitya Vastu. What I want is the limitless, which is really freedom from all limitations. So that is a process. In fact, this process continues even after you become a student of Vedanta. Everybody will not have this insight or very powerfully. They cannot have such a insight that it transforms their lives. For few people, it happens. Okay, maybe we have to say Purva Janma Sukrita and all that. Then the Vairagya. So the Viveka actually leads to certain Vairagya, because if you want the limitless, then you are no more interested in the limited worldly pursuits. So obviously, of course, you can still continue doing your duties based on the roles which you have taken up in your life. But this is something, this also should be a natural progression from here. Okay, once you have a certain insight and you know what you really want to do in your life, everything else is irrelevant. or everything else is only secondary. That is the vairagya. It is not, vairagya is not that you hate something or anything. You are just objective about what you really want, what the worldly pursuits can give you, what it cannot give you. Based on that, you have a certain non-challenge, I would say. That is the better word. You are non-challenge towards the worldly pursuits and day-to-day life and all that. Also, it's okay. You can have certain personal preferences and all that, but it's not really affecting you in any way. So that is what is the vairagya we are talking about. Then, even though you have this, you require still a certain mental disposition to become a qualified student. This is the part where you have to work hard. So again, we started with Anubandha Chatushtaya, in that the first one Adhikari, then Sadhana Chatushtaya for the Adhikari. Within that Shamadhi Shatka Sampati, 6 more. So we are going in some kind of a hierarchy here, correct? So in these 6-fold qualifications, starting with Shama. Shama means you have a certain resolved mind. Mind itself is resolved enough so that you are not distracted, you are not having any conflicts, you are not under the spell of your likes and dislikes and whatever it leads you to, correct? Likes and dislikes, if it is not fulfilled, it can become anger. So kama only becomes krodha, and kama and krodha are your enemies, like this Bhagavan says even in the Gita. So, and of course we have other things also, correct? Shad ripu also it is called sometimes. 6 things are also counted: kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So, so likes and dislikes which are binding are kama. Krodha is anger. If your likes and dislikes do not get fulfilled, you can have a pain. The pain can express itself as anger or any other emotional distress you have picked up from your childhood also. It can be triggered even as an adult, and you can find yourself in an angry state, correct? It's not a conscious something which you have consciously become angry or anything. If you consciously become angry, you are only showing anger. It is not real anger. Understand that. That is sometimes useful to get things done and all that. So there is no problem with that. So this kama krodha, lobha means what? If you are ready to do adharma for your own fulfillment of desires, then it becomes greed. That is what is lobha. Ambition itself is not a problem as long as you are trying to fulfill it within the norms of dharma. But then if you are ready to do adharma, then it becomes greed or lobha. Then moha means if you have all these things, you are deluded really. You become a deluded person because your knowledge of right and wrong itself is not available to you. You are completely under the spell of your likes and dislikes. So your knowledge of right and wrong is covered, and you are as though like somebody who is impelled by something else. That's what even Duryodhana is supposed to have said. In fact, I have not located that verse in Mahabharata yet, but he is supposed to have said, Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi. So I know what is dharma, but I don't have any pravritti, or I don't really engage in that. Okay. Janami adharmam nachame nivrittihi. I know what is wrong, what is adharma, but I am not able to disengage from that. Okay. Kenapi devena hridi sthitena yatha niyuktosmi tatha karomi. So by some deva who is sitting in my heart, in my mind, I am being impelled. And wherever this deva is impelling me, I am going there or I am doing that. Correct? That is nothing but your ragadvesha only. Okay. That's why even like there is something called Kamo Karshit, Japa and all that. Yajurvedis have that. Kamo Karshit, Manyura Karshit, Namo Namaha. That's a good way to look at it, correct? Your Kama and your Krodha, Manyu is nothing but anger. They only did many things, because even after you become a sadhaka, your past is something you have to reckon with, correct? You cannot run away from your past. But then how do we reconcile our own past? with our present, because present you may have become somebody else. You are not the same person always. Although some people always look at you from how you were 20 years back. That's okay. You can still deal with them in the same manner. There is no problem with that. But you are not the same person anymore. You are a mumukshu, you are a sadhaka. But still, what about your past means? Past is past. You don't have to really worry about it. Kamo karshit, manyura karshit. That's all. You don't have to have any guilt or anything about it. That is all gone already. Okay. That is the attitude, at least that's how you should learn to look at yourself. Otherwise, you are going to flog yourself or live with guilt feeling and all that, which is not worth it. So this is something uh, you can actually practice this. So it's all in the mind. It's all basically a cognitive change, which again is brought about by certain attitudes, how you develop your attitudes. So the shama is very important with reference to your mind. So you are free from all the shad ripu or even raga dvesha, at least their mastery. Free means you are free from their spell. So you have a certain mind then, which is free. And once you have that, you can only focus on Shravana Manana Nididhyasana to the exclusion of everything else. So if you are able to do that, then you have Shama. But even while doing Shravanam, you are attending this class, but you are thinking about something else, means you don't have Shama yet. It is something to be cultivated. Okay. So that is fine. Nobody is 100% ready or anything. Okay. So you have to put effort. Similarly, Dhamma means your external organs also are only, so you have a certain mastery over them so that you can engage again in only whatever is these activities which are beneficial for your own moksha, correct? And also, even if your mind is little agitated, you have a certain mastery over how you express your emotions and all that. So emotionally you may be disturbed, but at least you are not really spoiling the day of somebody else, correct? You are not yelling at somebody and all that. So that is something dhamma. Then even if you have shamadama, titiksha means you are able to forbear everything. Okay, because life is not going to be a bed of roses. There are dvandvas, dualities are there, heat and cold, comfort, discomfort, everything is there. We have to face it as it is. So the ability to face any situation without complaining, without feeling like a victim, correct? These are all titiksha. And again, only focusing, even though you have withdrawn your mind from other activities, you should now be able to focus it only on Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Okay, that is what is called Samadhi or Samadhanam, one pointedness. Again, this requires effort. You have to do upasana or dhyana regularly so that you develop a certain one pointedness and ability to focus on, and again have this right attitude towards Shastra and Guru. If you don't have the right attitude, you will not learn anything. You have come as a student, then you can be taught. If you are coming only to judge the Guru and all that, initially that is okay, but once you are learning from a Shrotriya, one who himself or herself has gone through the study of the Shastra with a Guru, then you have to have the right attitude towards that. A certain benefit of the doubt you have to give to the Guru. Even if you do not understand something, you should not say that the Guru is wrong or the Shastra is wrong, but your understanding has to be become better, correct? That is the right attitude. Till you get clarity, you give the benefit of the doubt to the Guru and the Shastra. That is Shraddha, and then Mumukshutvam, which is the burning desire for moksha. Again, this is something either you have it or you can cultivate it again, because this is something, again, when you keep on listening to the Shastra, the mumukshutvam also should become stronger. Okay, the desire for moksha should consume everything else, so that moksha alone is your purushartha. In fact, nothing else is really a purushartha. If you have nitya nitya vastu viveka, dharmartha kama is only anitya. Moksha alone can give you nitya phala. Therefore, having the moksha icha alone makes sense. Everything else is secondary. So up to this, I think we saw in the previous classes. I just gave you an overview because I thought we are starting after some time. It will be beneficial. Then now the author, as he has done even before, one good thing he does is he gives quotations from different Upanishads and all that to support whatever he has said till now. So how can you say all these sixfold qualities are required and all that? Correct? Shama, Dama and all. Then he quotes Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Evam bhutaha pramata adhikari shanto dantaha ityadi shrutehe. So the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad itself, there are two shakhas are there in Shukla Yajurveda. Okay. So in one shaka, 5 qualities are given: Shantaha, Dantaha, Uparataha, like that. And in another also 5 are given, but one alone differs. Okay, so what our acharyas have done, they have taken the readings from both the shaka. Okay, there is a Kanva shaka, Madhyandina shaka, like that. Each of them, they are listing out 4 matches. One is different, so they combined and now say the 6. These are the 6 qualities as given in the Upanishad. So you can go and check Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.4.23. So that is where the Upanishad itself is talking about the Adhikari or the Pramata as the one who is having all these qualities which were just now listed. This is again a very popular quote, Shanto, Dantaha, etc. Then he is also quoting the Acharya, Shankaracharya here, further to again reinforce the same point. So in the Upadesha Sahasri, so Upadesha Sahasri is a text which is again accepted by even modern scholars, and of course by the tradition. It is looked upon very highly as written. Again, it's a text written by Shankara, independent work. Okay, otherwise Shankara is known for his commentaries on the Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutra. That's why we call Shankara as Bhashyakara. So whenever I say Bhashyakara, means you have to understand that I am referring to Adi Shankaracharya. But one of his most famous independent work is the Upadesha Sahasri, and it is again a very big text. Maybe someday we can have classes on that. And it also has both prose and verse portions. Okay, almost covering all the topics. So from that, this author is quoting now. What is he saying? Prashanta Chittaya Jitendriyaya cha Prahina Doshaya Yatokta Karine Gunanvitaya Anugataya Sarvada Edeyam Etat Satatam Mumukshave. So here Adi Shankara is telling, to whom can you give this knowledge? Okay. In fact, even in Bhagavad Gita, at the end, after giving all the teaching, and then he said, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vaja, and all. With that, Bhagavad Gita is supposed to be over. 18th chapter, 69th verse, I think. Then afterwards, Bhagavan still says, Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrushave vachyam na cha mam yobhya suyati. So, idam te na tapaskaya. Atapaskaya means what? One who does not do any tapas, means one who does not have any discipline. So idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya na, then na abhakta, one who is not a bhakta. Bhakti and all is very, very important. Without bhakti, there is no karma yoga. So Bhakta, one should be a Bhakta to be a Vedanta student. It is not some dry academic study. Understand that. We are studying Vedanta. Even I am not really a scholar. Understand that. I studied Vedanta because I felt a certain problem with myself and I want to get rid of that. If you study with that attitude only, Vedanta is useful. Otherwise, anybody can even study Vedanta in a university and get PhD without Vedanta really touching that person at all. As a person, it won't have touched. He may still be a great scholar. That way, it is helped. It has helped. Correct. Vedanta has made you a scholar, a professor. It has given you a living. But if it has not transformed you as a person, then it has not achieved whatever. So, for that, in fact, this is important. Correct. The person has to have certain qualifications. Okay, the one who is ready to listen, one who has Shraddha, one who is a Bhakta, one who is ready to lead a life of discipline. All these things are important. So here what Bhashyakara is saying, he is starting Mumuksha way. First that person should be a Mumukshu. Otherwise, again, like I said, you can still teach Vedanta, but it will not really touch or transform the person. Okay. So always he says Satatam Pradeyam etat. This has to be given only to a Mumukshu. And what kind of a Mumukshu? What are the other are all only qualifications for this Mumukshu again. Prashanta Chittaya means one who has a calm mind, conflict free mind, peaceful mind. Correct? Prashanta Chitta means Shama. He has Shama. Jitendriyaya, one who has mastered his own sense organs. Okay, mastery over one's own sense organs. So that you don't go, because the sense organ, again, naturally, it always goes after its sense objects. There's nothing wrong in that. But if you go along with that, you are not any different from an animal, correct? Animals also have Arthakama. Everybody is pursuing that. But what makes you somebody different or a Samskrita? Otherwise, it is Prakrita, we say. Prakrita means what? The Prakriti. The Prakriti or your nature is pushing you towards certain activities. If you only do that, Bhashyakara in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he says, that is what is a Asura, he says. Asusu Ramate iti Asura. Asusu Ramate means one who is reveling in sense pleasures, sense objects and all that. That is fine, but again, how long you can do that? In your youth, you can do certain things, that is fine. It's not that, even that you have to do it with the certain discipline and attitude and all that, which the Shastra again talks about all that. Shastra comes and makes even a prakrita action or activity, whatever is natural, your natural tendency is there. It's not saying you should stop everything, but it says that now do it according to the what the Shastra is saying. Shastra is still delineating certain boundaries, when you can do what, how you can do. So there are certain disciplines, even attitude, how visualizing certain thing as a divine activity. For example, simple thing, eating. Now, eating is a prakrita activity, correct? That means what? Everybody has to eat. That is a natural tendency. But then eating also, we make it into worship. Everybody, you do your parisheshanam, means pranagni we call it. You do a parisheshanam or we chant, correct? What do you say? Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha. Like that, Bhagavan says, I am the one who is sitting in your stomach as the Vaishwanara Agni. That is what is digesting everything. Correct? No, we all know that we don't have even our digestive powers under our control. In fact, most of the US is suffering from some kind of constipation, I think. I don't know why, but there is a problem. So, you can't even digest your food. Even that only Bhagavan is sitting and digesting it for you. Then what to say? But you have to recognize that. Okay. So whenever you are eating, it is not just eating anymore. It is offering Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi, Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. Like that, sometimes we chant all these things and eat. With what attitude? Whatever I am eating, it's also an Agnihotra, means I am offering. It is an offering to the fire which is there in my stomach, and the fire itself is not separate from Bhagavan, because Bhagavan is manifest as the digestive power in my body. So now if you change your attitude like this and even chant a few verses with certain understanding, then even a simple thing like eating becomes a Samskrita activity, correct? It is what we get Samskrita. Samskrita means what? It is a meritorious or a purifying activity, because with that attitude, when you do that, your mind also gets purified. Correct? So even whatever you naturally indulge in, of course, overindulging in everything is a problem. That's a different thing. But even otherwise, you can purely eat without thinking about any of these things. But if you have a certain attitude and you do it in a certain way, then it becomes a Samskrita action. The Prakrita action becomes Samskrita action. That is very important for us. Correct? So the such a person is a Jitendriyaha. You have a certain mastery over what you want to do and also how you are going to do that. So not only eating, we can go on and on. Even sexual union and all that, Brihadaranyaka itself will talk about it later. It is comparing that to Vajapaya Yajna and all that. Okay. So it's not that everything we can then just change everything. Correct? All your swakarma, whatever you are doing, everything is really a form of worship only. Okay. So that is our vision. And if you are able to lead your life with that vision, then you become a Deva. A Deva is one who does the same activity, but as per what the Shastra says, such a person is Deva. So one who is Jitendriya only is really a Deva. And Prahina Doshaya means what? One who does not have any doshas and all that. Correct? That's what. So he has overcome. He is a Prashanta Chitta. Jitendriya means obviously all this Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, and all that Shad, Ripu, and all this person has overcome. So yes, he doesn't have any defects in himself. And Yatoktakari means what? One who listens to the Guru and Shastra, not Yatechakari. Of course, even Bhagavan says to Arjuna, Yatechasi Tathakuru. That is our tradition. A Guru can only teach you, but only you have to live according to the teaching. It's up to you. So finally, we say, you do. I have given you the vision. I have given you the teaching. You go and live your life accordingly. But if you live it according to the words of the Guru and the Shastra, means you are the Yatoktakari. As said in the Shastra, as said by your Guru, you are leading a certain life, let us say. Such a person is Yatoktakari and Gunanvitaya. Okay. So also has some gunas. Means we have all these values and all we say, correct? Ahimsa. In fact, so many places in Bhagavad Gita also Bhagavan explicitly talks about all these values. Amanitwadi anyway, 13th chapter is very famous, correct? Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairyam atma vinigraha. Like that, 20 different values are all talked about by Bhagavan. So all these gunas one has. Sarvada pradeyam anugataya, one who goes along with his guru means basically I think that you are ready to go and live with your guru. That is also important. This Vedanta, of course, with all the limitations you have, all the duties you have, or at least you are attending weekend class and all, it is fine. But at some point in time, you have to go and live with a guru and study. The Gurukula Vasa is very, very important, because then only it shows your commitment. You are ready to pursue this to the exclusion of everything else, and that matters. And when you do like that, the kind of clarity and the transformation it can bring about, you cannot get it just by doing some weekend classes and all that. So that is important. So for such a person, sarvada pradeyam, okay, you have to give it always in all manners. So for such a mumukshu, you have to teach. Okay. In same thing, Bhagavan also says in even the fourth chapter of Gita. Okay. So tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha, like that. Those who are jnanis, tattvadarshis, upadekshanti, they will do upadesha. To whom? Those who have surrendered, pranipatena, pariprashnena sevaya, and those who are ready to discuss and arrive at the truth. Okay. Ready to have a conversation to find the truth. And also one who is ready to do seva. For a person with all these things, okay, you can teach, or they will teach, any guru will teach. Every guru is happy to teach, in fact, because the teaching itself is a joy, correct? So if a student is there, then anybody will teach, particularly a qualified student. Then what? Finally, we have finished the adhikari. Now we are moving to the Vishaya, the subject matter of the book. What is the Vishaya? Any Vedanta text, Vishaya is say, Jiva Brahma Ikyam, Shuddha Chaitanyam Prameyam, Tatra Eva Vedantanam Tatparyat. So, what is the subject matter? Means identity between Jiva and Brahma. Again, words are being introduced, correct? What is this Jiva? What is this Brahma? What identity or equation we are talking about? Jiva is the individual. Individual conscious being is the Jiva who has identity with this body, mind, sense complex, who is a conscious being, who responds to stimuli, to whom everything becomes evident and all that, correct? But Brahman is consciousness alone. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. The limitless conscious being is Brahman. The individual conscious being thinks he or she is limited. But in reality, all limitations are only superimpositions born of wrong identification with not self. Correct? You are identifying yourself with the not self. So Vedanta itself is very simple, because the only logic or only analysis you have to keep doing continuously is whatever I see is not I. It's as simple as that. Whatever I see is an object of my cognition. I am the eternal knower to whom everything becomes evident. Then why am I even identifying with what I see as I? My body is also, in fact, first body itself you are identifying as I. Okay, at least from there it can become my body. But even that my also has to go away, because body has no reality. It is not in the same order of reality as yourself. So both I and my kind of connection with the body mind sense complex has to go away, because all of them are your objects of your cognition. You are the cognizing consciousness who is the invariable in each and every cognition, who is limitless really, who is of a different order of reality. So understanding that, then you know that really your identity is not with Jiva but Brahman. Okay, Brahman as Jagat Karanam, Ishvara, the nature of Ishvara and nature of the individual is one and the same. So you have to know that you are the Shuddha Chaitanyam. That's what we say, pure consciousness, to whom everything becomes evident. And whatever becomes evident keeps on changing. So that's all mithya. You are the only reality who does not change. Once you have ascertained that I am a conscious being, that never changes. That is always there as it is. That is why you are also limitless. You are Satyam. You are of a different order of reality. And that is the thing to be known, Prameyam. So how do I know this again? Not as an object. You cannot know yourself as an object. That is the complexity in Vedanta. All other knowledge throughout our life, we have known everything as an object of our mind, correct? You objectify things in your mind, and then you know. Even black hole as a concept, you objectify and know. But yourself can never be objectified. But the important thing is you need not objectify yourself, because already you are you. You know yourself, you are self-revealing, self-existent, conscious being. So you don't have to objectify yourself. All you have to do is remove all wrong notions about yourself. That's it. Then you are as you are. You don't even require a word then. Okay. So that is the prameya, the thing to be known, but you cannot know it as an object. If you say I know it, then you don't know. This is all Kenopanishad says like that. Very interesting. Yasya matam tasya matam. Like that, it looks very contradictory, but it's very true. The guy who says I know this Atma as sitting somewhere like an object means he doesn't know anything really. But the one who says I do not know it as an object, that person really knows, correct? Because it is the eternal subject which can never be objectified. So anyway, so all the Vedanta, their Tatparya means what? Their commitment is only to reveal this. Okay, this is what Vyasacharya also in the Brahma Sutra, the fourth sutra is all about that. Tattu Samanvayat means when you reconcile all the statements of the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, everything, where does it lead you or what does it reveal? It reveals the Jiva Brahma Aikyam alone. That is the Tatparya of the Shastra, nothing else. Even Purva Bhaga also we can include in that when we do the Samanvaya, because even Veda Purva Bhaga, although it is addressed to the Ajnani and to fulfill all the desires of the Ajnani, but even that if you do with the right attitude, with the Yoga Buddhi, that also becomes a means for you to attain Chitta Shuddhi, and through that again moksha. So the entire Veda, the Tatparya is only to reveal the Jiva Brahma Aikyam, your own reality as the limitless conscious being. Okay. So that is the Vishaya, the subject matter of this book also. And then Sambandhastu, what is the connection? There are different connections are talked about here. Okay, between the book and what it reveals, between you, correct, as a person, what is the prayojana for you, etc. Like this, different sambandhas are there. Pratipadaka, pratipadya sambandha. Okay, that is one of the important things. So the book is the revealer and the Vishaya is the revealed. Okay. So like this, connections are all there. So here you see tad aikya prameyasya tad pratipadaka upanishad pramanasya cha bodhya bodhaka bhava sambandha. So here he is mainly talking about the book is the bodhaka, the one which reveals or one which teaches. And what is revealed, what is taught is this Aikya only, correct? The Prameya which was said here, Shuddha Chaitanyam, Jiva Brahma Aikyam is the Prameya. That Prameya, Aikya Prameya, is revealed by whom? Only by the Upanishad Of course, this book also is basically talking about the same thing. Although he says Upanishad, this book also we have to include in that. So tat pratipadaka Upanishad pramanasya. So the prameyasya pramanasya. That which is revealed is the prameya. The pramana is the revealer. Now what is the sambandha between the two? Means bodhya bodhaka bhava sambandha. The revealer and the revealed, the connection between the two, that is the sambandha here between the book and the subject matter. Okay, so this is the important connection here. And then prayojana. What do you get by reading this book? Okay, unless there is some prayojana, even an idiot will not pursue something, correct? So prayojanam anuddishya mandopi na pravartate, like that it is said in the Shastra. Without thinking about the prayojana, you cannot even decide the action, correct? Because basically you have to be clear about what you want, and then based on that, what to do to attain whatever you want. That also gets defined by that. See, this is why there are some problematic translations, like saying do your duty, don't expect result and all. So karma yoga itself is presented as do not expect results. Now that is a problematic way of presenting, because nobody can do anything without expecting the result, correct? Without expecting the result, how will you even decide the karma, the activity? So maybe we have to give some benefit of the doubt to whoever is saying that. What they are really saying, we have to try to understand. What they are really saying is, do not expect the result to make you happy. That is the thing, correct? Everybody is doing something, are expecting a certain result, and also have an expectation about that result, that the result is going to make you happy. But the problem with such expectation is what? First, you are expecting a result. This result alone will come. That itself may come, may not come. It may be less than what you expect. It can be more than what you expect. It can be totally something opposite can happen and all that. So that is not under your control. Your effort is there. Of course, the effort itself is defined by the expected result. That is all fine. But still, what you actually will get is not something, or it's not even under your control completely. You are not the karma phala data. That's what Bhagavan says. You are only an adhikari. You have adhikara only towards karma. That means what? You are qualified to do, because you have ichha shakti, jnana shakti and kriya shakti. These shaktis are all privileges given to us by Bhagavan. But with all this, you can do. You can desire, and you can find out how to or what to do to get actually do it. But in spite of all that, result only Bhagavan has to give you based on your own, again, papa punya and all that. That's why Bhagavan is the karma phala data. So if you appreciate that, then you have certain equanimity with reference to the results, because all results in your life are coming from Bhagavan. Means it is prasada. That's what we say, it is prasada buddhi. Prasada is not just whatever comes from the altar of Bhagavan in the temple. There you all have equanimity. You can accept vibhuti, which is nothing but ash, or even a laddu. You are not going to complain to the priest that I only want laddu. Don't give me any tirtham and vibhuti and, and send me off. Nobody says that. Whatever you get, you are happy with that prasada. Like that in life also, can we accept whatever comes as prasada? Again, that is a change in attitude. That is something to be cultivated. And of course, so once you have that, you can accept any result, and also you have a certain understanding that these limited results anyway will not make you totally satisfied or happy and all that. So you don't expect that the results are really going to make you happy. You are doing it as your duty. Okay, that is the idea, I think. Anyway, so prayojanam anuddishya mandopi na pravartate. Even a manda, a dull person will not do something without expecting any result. So here what is the prayojana then? Tad aikya prameya gata ajnana nivrittihi. So once you know the identity between the limited jiva and the limitless Ishvara, then your ignorance about yourself is gone. It is destroyed, correct? So prameya gata. So the ignorance with reference, always ignorance is with reference to some object of knowledge, correct? So if I ask you, do you know Chinese? I think 90% of you will not know what is Chinese, or more than that. All of you may not know Chinese. Now you have ignorance with reference to this Chinese. Okay. Of course, if I ask when did this ignorance start, it never started anytime, right? It is always there. Till you know, ignorance is there. That's why we say it is beginningless. So even this Atma Ajnanam also same thing. It is beginningless Ajnanam, it is there. But it can come to an end once you know the reality about yourself. So once this ignorance about yourself is gone, then what do you gain? Means Swaswarupa Ananda Vaptihi. So you gain your own nature, very nature. Your own very nature is hidden to you because of this ignorance. Ignorance can cover. Even though ignorance itself is not as real as yourself, it still has the ability to cover. So it has covered your own Ananda, Atmananda, Swarupananda, we say. Ananda means here you are the source of all happiness. This happiness is not some experiential happiness or anything. It is purely the understanding that you are the source of all Ananda. You don't really have to attain anything to be happy anymore. That such a person is one who is called Atmatriptaha, Atmanyeva Santushtaha and all that. Okay. Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. Like that Bhagavan says in the Gita also. Sthita Prajna Lakshana when he talks about Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogataan Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha Sthita Prajnastadochyate. Like this Sthita Prajna means one who has destroyed all the kamas. Ragadvesha. Destroyed Ragadvesha means Ragadveshas have no hold over that person anymore. Whether you fulfill something or not, it doesn't really matter anymore. Krita Kritya. You have done everything is to be done. Okay. And such a person is happy with oneself, does not have the pressure to gain something, achieve something, and then think that only by doing something I'll be happy and all that. So then you know yourself as the source of all Ananda. You are now established in your own reality. Okay, that is the Swaswarupa Ananda Avaptihi. You gain this Ananda. Gain means not something like it's purely a gain through knowledge, correct? When the ignorance goes, the knowledge itself makes you gain this. And then he says, so how do you know all this? Means Upanishad itself is quoting Tarati Shokam Atmavit Chandogya. The one who knows oneself crosses all sorrow because you know that you are not subjected to any sorrow. Sorrow also is something, even if it is there, it becomes evident to you. And according to our Vedantic logic, whatever you know is not you. It's not even part of you. It is only an object of knowledge. Even if some soka emotion is there in the mind, you are not really sorrowful. Understand that. That is the Vedanta logic, which is a difficult logic to digest, but you have to think about it. Okay. Worldly logic is I have sadness, therefore I am sorrowful. But this is different. So you have crossed all shoka. And again another Shruti is there. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati Mundakopanishad. You know Brahman, you become Brahman. Hey, how is that possible? Because you are already Brahman, correct? Brahman is, you are Brahman is the teaching, not you will become Brahman. Understand that. You are already Brahman, but that is hidden because of your own ignorance, and you just recognize that. So all these Shrutis are there. So from all this, what do we know? That moksha, attaining the limitless, attaining the knowledge that I am the source of all happiness, being totally self satisfied with oneself, not requiring anything else to be happy. These are all the results you gain. Complete freedom from all limitations. In fact, happiness is the goal for everybody. In one word, if you have to say what is Purushartha means, Purushartha is really only gaining happiness for everybody. We are trying to gain that through Dharma, Artha, Kama and all that. But only through moksha, you can gain this Ananda, which is Nityananda, correct? Which is always there because it's not separate from you. It is, if something is separate from you, it can go, but it is not separate from you. It is your very Swarupa, your very nature. That is the Ananda we are talking about. So that is the Prayojana. So we have now completed the Anubandha Chatushtaya, and we'll continue next week with the other things. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.